I think we have like 40 minutes planned.
We have until noon.
Yep. Yep. Or one. Yep. Noon
Oh,
to one.
yes, it starts at noon.
Yeah.
Hello, friends. I'm gonna give it maybe 5 to 4 more minutes, and let some more attendees come in. We have a few more people registered, and then we'll get started. Hello to everyone who's just joined us. We're gonna give it maybe like 2 more minutes just to let some last minute people come in, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Sounds good.
All right. It is now 12:03. I'm feeling pretty good about getting started. Um, Anyone who comes in can come in a little late.
Yep.
So, hello everyone. My name is Aurelie Herrera. Some of you may already know me. I use she, they pronouns. I am the Supplier Diversity Program Manager for the Chamber. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, Google My Business Guide, Elevate Your Online Profile, presented by JC of In Context. In Context is a longtime chamber member, very active in our community, and we're really grateful to have them presenting today. It looks like we have a great group together today, so let's go ahead and get started. Zoom disables chat for the webinar format, but there is a question and answer function, which I'll keep an eye on throughout the webinar. So if you have any questions or concerns, please put them in there in the little Q&A section, and we will address them after JC's presentation. We'll also be recording this webinar for a few people who couldn't make this particular session. And JC, thank you so much for being here today. Take it away.
Thanks, Aurelie. It's great to be here today. Thanks to everybody who's able to join and anybody who's watching the recording. I'm gonna get right into my presentation. I of course want to thank the LGBT Chamber of Wisconsin of E-commerce of Commerce for Wisconsin for collaborating with me on this. I am a big fan of the chamber. I always go there to look for, different people to work with and different people to do business with, so that the money is stay within the community. So I look forward to, I'll reach out to each of you individually afterwards and see how we can connect and continue to grow the community. All right, so my presentation today is about Google Business Profile. It used to be called Google My Business. It is a very simple way to make sure that your business is understood and seen by Google, in addition to getting it in the places where your ideal customer is looking for you. So first, I wanted to introduce myself a little bit more, and this graph also serves two purposes. This is basically how Google sees you. You're an entity. You have associations, and Google Business Profile is actually where I believe the first level of understanding that Google has about what your business does and who you are and who you associate with. That's how they understand, how you're connected to the rest of the world. Google is a computer, so you kind of have to put it in very basic terms. So this chart here is kind of showing, my relationship to these different entities that might also be understood by Google. So just going around the circle, I'm a Wisconsinite, born here, born and raised. I founded In Context SEO in 2017. My main goal is to work with like-minded businesses and individuals and help the little guy get seen and get more visibility in Google search. I went to UWM. I have undergrad and a MBA focused on e-commerce. And I've worked at a company called Proficient in the past, where I was the website migration lead, working with Fortune 500 companies to move their websites from one platform to the other, or just making sure everything was stable when they were doing any large changes on the website from an SEO perspective. And the last one down here, my family business is Cheney, the Cheney Company. We were in business for a long time, and we actually invented the stair lift. We called it the Weckelator. So it stood for Wallace E. Cheney. And a claim to fame and a relationship, you always say 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon actually read for the lead role of Gremlins, and in Gremlins, they actually called my uncle and asked to get a stair lift, and that is our product that's in that movie, where the old lady gets shot out the window. So, that was a fun fact I just learned recently after putting together this graph, actually, because I was like, oh, that's a stair lift, but I didn't know it was actually our they never paid us for it. That's what I also learned. So, so our main mission here at In Context SEO is to make content marketing accessible for subject matter experts by giving them a framework to build their online presence. So it's not just for business owners. It's not just for small businesses, large businesses. This is something that everybody could be thinking about: how to use helpful content, how to use your voice to grow your visibility online. So that's what our mission is, to help people who have a voice get seen and understood better. So just a high level overview of our offerings, and we'll get deeper into the Google Business Profile side of things. So we do a lot beyond Google Business Profile. That is something that we feel is a core element of the organic visibility. We help small businesses, starting with SEO coaching and making sure your technical foundations on your website are implemented. We also do website maintenance and domain management. And then our core offering is content development and strategy, where we're basically your one-stop shop to build your website more, understand how to disseminate that content that's on your website, how to drive more people to your website from an organic perspective. And once those foundations are laid and we know that the website is converting and has a good amount of referral traffic, and all those foundations are laid, then we move into the higher level of where actually we're leveraging paid, or we're leveraging email, or we're leveraging different things to move people onto your site. And this is quite different than most digital marketing agencies, where they start with basically paying to have content traffic come to your site and then trying to figure it out from there. We take a bit of a slower, more organic approach, just to make sure that all the pieces and workflows are moving in the right direction before we spend money, give more money to Google. We want to use Google before we pay Google, basically. All right, so getting into the nitty gritty of the main purpose of this presentation is to understand what Google Business Profile is and why is it important. So if you're, ever looking for a business or service that may be something that's local to you, or maybe that's, something that you would go travel to, or you'd, call them up, this is where you can have an opportunity to have a free listing on Google. So if you were to search my brand name in Context SEO, you would find this Google Business Profile that's shown on the right side here. And I have control over this. I can tell it, I can fill in what the hours are. I can put a different phone number on there if I want. I can change what the website link is. And a lot of the times, especially over the pandemic, I would reach out to different businesses, and I would ask them a question, and then they'd be like, "Oh, we're not open at that time," or something like that. And I would say, "Your Google Business Profile is out of date," and they're like, "Yeah, we have no idea how to control that." So that's one reason why we put this presentation together, to ensure that people do feel empowered to go into Google and claim their Google Business Profile. So as you can see at the right side here, there's a link that says suggest and edit and own this business. Those are two separate links. So these Google Business Profiles are also kind of a bit of a crowdsource element, where Google will allow, users to suggest and edit. So if you think the phone number is wrong or the hours are wrong, you can suggest edit. That will go into your Google Business Profile interface, and you can approve that edit or reject that edit. The main thing is that you have to manage that, because if it's not rejected and somebody suggests something, then that Google will just accept it. So this is where you kind of want to be a little, careful about other people making edits to your listing. And then of course, own this business. If you own the business, then you can claim it. And even if somebody's already claimed it, you can request that gets transferred to you. So there's a little more, it gets a little into the nitty gritty at that point, but assuming that nobody's already claimed your listing, or if you don't already have one, then we'll review how to move forward with that. All right, so high level benefits of Google Business Profile. Google Business Profile is free. This is something that Google offers. Of course, they do want you to move into paid advertisement, and it's kind of built into the system where you can easily transfer or use the data that you put here in order to start using their advertising tools. But on the surface level, it is a free product. And it will improve your local search engine ranking because it will put you inside of the Google business, the Google Maps area. And this will also, it also allows people to leave reviews. It allows you to review, to respond to the reviews. It allows people to ask questions. It allows you to direct traffic to your website with a few different options of, you can link a menu if you have a restaurant. You can link a appointment booking link if you are have that set up, and of course you can link directly to your homepage from the website link. So these, these are the primary benefits of Google Business Profile. And then really the main thing that you think about with Google Business Profile is like a brick and mortar store. So it will, put on the location when you search on your phone a certain business name, it will let you find the directions to go there. It also is useful for service area businesses, but not so much for pinpointing your location. Again, it will improve your search visibility. So the more information you add, the more you optimize your listing, the more you go in and review the suggestions or make changes or ask questions or reply to reviews or get more reviews, the more visible you'll be. And I have seen that in the past where if somebody does spend time on it, then they get more visibility. And if they kind of stop spending time on it, then they start to get deprioritized in the system. Again, this lets you interact with customers. Not only can you read reviews and reply to them, but you can also answer questions that people may ask. There is a social media element. You can offer services and products. And then also there is some analytics in the back end. So you can see on a 6-month rolling period, whether you're getting more website clicks, more calls, and more, I think, even directions for people that are not service area businesses. So who is Google Business Profile for? Basically, anybody who has a business that's in the United States that is not completely online only, like a e-commerce website. Even e-commerce websites can have it, but it's not going to benefit them as much. Right here, we have an example of a service area business where their service area, even though they're located in Milwaukee, they serve the entire state of Wisconsin. So we're able to implement that in the back end and specify what areas they service. And again, you just want to make sure that we're managing these profiles and not setting it and forgetting it, because anybody can go in and suggest an edit. And if you don't approve or decline that edit, then Google will accept it. So if you don't have a Google Business Profile or you're not sure you do, you can go into google.com/business and you must be signed in with Google account. So, I have a lot of clients who have a variety of work accounts or personal accounts, and we kind of have to go through each individual one to see if they're when they do have a profile, if that profile is managed. So it gets a little, confusing, but if you have a business, if your business has a listing, you will see it once you search the business name. And if it does not exist, then that's where we'll find out that you don't have that. So if it already exists, you can follow the steps to request access. And it'll show, like in the screenshot here, it shows, the owner of this listing, which is ours, is starts with IN and ends with @gmail.com. So that usually gives you an indication of who has ownership of that. And so then if you don't have access, or if that's a different account from what you recognize, then you can click request access. And if that email doesn't decline that request within 2 weeks, then you'll be granted access by default by Google. Because this is really over the course of Google Business Profile, it went from something called Google Places to Google My Business to Google Business Profile, and it probably will change again in the future someday. But a lot of these profiles are kind of automatically generated by Google, and nobody's really managing them. So they do make it pretty easy to claim if you don't already have that in your account. So the key components of Google Business Profile is name, address, phone number, website. Your Google or your social media profiles will also be added. Then you can add add categories. You can have primary category with subcategories, and under each of those categories has uh, attributes along with services that are associated with those categories. Every time I look at Google Business Profile, there's something different happening. So it is kind of a moving target, but we'll take a live look at Google Business Profile shortly and just click through all the different things that you can control. And then, of course, location photos. You do want to have some photos of your actual location because they do use the metadata in your pictures to understand where you're located. So it's kind of a, checks and balances thing. So if you take a picture of something and that's not, that the metadata shows say it's in New York and you're trying to claim something in Milwaukee, that will cause some conflict and you may not understand why. And then, of course, you want to fill out the business description and profile as much as you can. They do use words that are inside your business description to help Google or help users understand what your services are and what keywords you might want to show up for in addition to your website. So you may search something and it will actually highlight in the Google Business Profile, this website mentions this topic. So it does understand the difference, or it connects the dots between the Google Business Profile and your website. And then, of course, reviews is a big element of that. That does play a large role in your visibility. When I ask clients of mine to reach out and get more reviews, they tend to get more visibility after they've gotten more reviews. And then, of course, I just want to reiterate, this is not a set it and forget it sort of thing. So staying active and making sure to put a calendar reminder on your work calendar to go in at least, once a month, every 2 weeks to see if there's anything changed in there, send out some requests to get reviews from clients, respond to any reviews that you've got, posting updates, posting events as time comes, as different events come up. And we'll go through a tour and understand how we can do that shortly. So I definitely wanted to highlight some of these key components of a business profile, Google Business Profile, specifically for the LGBT chamber members. So inside the attributes under More tab, you can see that you can identify as a LGBTQ plus owned business. And so when somebody might be searching that on in Google in the broad search or in Google Maps, your website, your Google Business Profile will be highlighted from that perspective. I do that pretty often when I'm looking for restaurants in new different areas. You can actually use a filter as well and select LGBT owned or LGBT friendly businesses. So this is something that will help you set yourself out from the crowd, most likely. And I think there's obviously other things you can mark as well, and accessibility as well as like letting people know if you do have a brick and mortar location, how accessible it is for wheelchair access. All right. And then for surface area businesses, so Google Business Profile is traditionally, you'd think about, restaurants, any brick and mortar locations, anywhere you have to navigate to, but it is very beneficial for service area businesses, especially if somebody's looking for something where, they come to your home and they don't necessarily have a client-facing location. So what you do for a service area business, you set it up just like a normal Google Business Profile. And then once that's established and verified and you have everything set up there, then you can go into the settings and disable showing your location. And then you can go in and select your service area. You can do it as granular as a zip code. You can do it by county. You can do it just by state, or you can just mark the entire US as your service area. And then I also recommend with service area businesses that you create a location served or areas served page on your website. And you can take in one of these, in the share link, you can get an embed code and put it on your website. So again, Google's looking not only at Google Business Profile and how the information there, but also comparing it to your website. So that really creates that reciprocity of you have not only linked your Google Business Profile to your website, but you've linked the website to your Google Business Profile. And that also allows the reviews to show up. You can get an embed code that shows all the different reviews. and it kind of creates like a scroll situation. And then again, just reiterating that this is something along with SEO in general, like, and any networking, any kind of work you're doing to promote your business, you kind of have to be consistent about it and check in on it, and pull the levers and send the emails and do what you need to do to get visibility. And it's not going to work by itself, but it is a very powerful tool if you're able to be consistent. All right, so I wanted to take a trip into the world of how it is at this moment, because Google Business Profile does change a lot. So I'm going to exit out of the presentation and move into the basically, if you were to get started, you would go to google.com/business profile, and all right, if I click manage now, it's going to take me to my interface because I've got a few different profiles in there. But if you clicked manage now, it would most likely pop up with a search for your business, basically in this screenshot that we saw earlier. So my profile takes me to this list of all the different people that I'm managing. But if you just search your own brand name, you'll also see how it works. So this is the interface now. It used to be back in that other interface, but everybody is now in the search results for your brand. If you have a profile and you're managing it, it will look like this. So that's one quick way to figure out if you are the owner of your own profile, assuming you're logged into the email that you're associated with. So this is what the interface looks like. One thing that I definitely want to point out that is very hard to find is this little 3-dot section here. That's how you pretty much set up lots of different things in your section here. So under business profile settings, that's where you can give people access or remove access. And then you can also do some advanced settings, suppressing things, setting store codes, setting up a Google Ads phone number so for more detailed tracking, and then linking different things to the different properties if you're using Google Ads or Merchant Center. So that's number one thing that people are always like, how do I even add you as a manager or something? It's hidden under the 3 dots. So that's where I always make sure to point out people to add people. So you just find out their email address and add it there, and you can assign them as an owner or manager. And then starting from left to right, here's the edit profile. So you can change your business name, you can add all the different categories, you can change your description, opening date. That's important because I think that's another element of like your origin story of what Google is going to understand about you. And then website here, this is a little bit of a tip. You can put a tracking parameter, we call that, on the end of the URL. And then in different properties that you're able to see traffic come through on, you can see when somebody clicks on this and know that that came from the Google Business Profile link. And then here's where you list all your social profiles so that, again, like I mentioned in the beginning of just understanding how these different things across the internet relate to your business. And by assigning and giving these links, then you're verifying to Google that these are your owned, your social media profiles that you own. And then we get into the location, business location, and I'll also have areas served, but since my location is shown, then it's not showing that kind of service area. But I can easily just click this button and remove my address, and then it would show all the different counties that I've listed down here as my service area. So I'm going to cancel out of that because I want to keep my address. And then here's where you can list your business hours. A lot of times, people are open or not open on different days, as of course this is much more important for brick and mortar locations. And then, there's some traditional things in here like restaurant specific things. But so this is where I identify as LGBT owned business. And then I also identify as, LGBT friendly and transgender safe space. And I can add a little bit more information specifically like appointment required is good, because even though I have a location, it doesn't mean that I, am available to receive clients at any time. So it's letting people know that I'm not necessarily a walk-in business. And then the next one here is read reviews. So this is where you can actually get your link to get more reviews. So you just copy this link. So if you didn't see what I did, I clicked on the read reviews, and then up here at the top, there's a button to get more reviews. And this is what you could just copy and send to an email, in an email to one of your past clients or current clients or business associates. I mean, reviews don't have to necessarily be by paying customers. They can be by people that have just interacted with your business. Anybody that you feel would give you a good review, you can send an email to and ask them to leave a review for you. And then once you've got reviews, then you can reply to each of these reviews. Looks like I need to review to reply to a couple of them that I haven't done so far. And up here it'll show, how many reviews and the aggregate rating of all those reviews. And then the next one is photos. So we don't have too many photos in here, but you can add any photos you want, and then also identify, is it a logo, is it an exterior shot? You can have a cover photo. You can do a lot of different things. One thing to note is once you add photos in here, you can't really tell it what to show. So it's going to show based on what people are searching for. So if somebody's searching for like SEO agency in Milwaukee, they might see this picture because this is most likely something that they would recognize as being Milwaukee based on the metadata or the picture itself. Google, as everybody knows, is a very understands pictures and understands different things, and however it works. I don't know how it works necessarily, but I understand the power of it, so that's what I bring to the table. And then there's metrics here, performance wise. So you can see again on a rolling 6 month. It's not very granular, so you can see we're halfway through the month of November. It looks kind of like things are going downhill, of course, seasonality as well, but you can see these are the total business profile interactions. So that's adding number of calls along with directions and website clicks from all those different interactions. So this is something you can kind of compare to your other metrics if you have like Google Analytics set up, or again, that tracking code to see how many times people clicked on your listing. You can just kind of compare and contrast. And then again, I think I mentioned how Google has advertising kind of built into it. So you can actually go into this and it'll take you into a wizard to basically start advertising. And local search ads do use your Google business profile and your reviews. So that's kind of how they are moving you from that free listing into like a paid product. I do recommend local service ads if you are a local service business that qualifies. They're building different things every day, because it does allow you to hear the calls, accept or reject the calls, so you don't have to pay for anything that's not a valuable lead to your business. And then the next one, we're going back into just understanding like if you have specific products with specific list going to your website, or if you're selling certain things, you can put all that information in here. And then you can also link it to your product page if you want, or you can just have the purchase options in there as well. And then services, I think I mentioned before. So under each individual category, so I have website designer as a primary category, all of these services are suggested. So that's what the blue highlighting is implying. So I didn't add these services under here. This is just kind of like Google giving me suggestions, or people that have come to the site giving me suggestions. And then I've got other categories where I can add more services under each individual one of these categories. So this is something new that they've added. So before it was just a list of categories with a list of services, and now they've kind of combined those two things. So you can have services under each category. And booking link, so basically if you have a way to, for somebody to look at your calendar and schedule some time, I have that. So I've added HubSpot here to let people schedule some time with me or my colleagues. You can do that as well if you have that option. It's something to keep a note of is sometimes, you want to check that from a different account because sometimes when you're looking at the link, you're signed into it and you can access the things, but you want to make sure that anybody who's not signed into your system can also see that. Question and answer is definitely something interesting because you might be like, well, nobody's asking me any questions, but you can actually ask yourself questions and answer those questions. So if you have some frequently asked questions that you get and you've listed on your website, or you just hear those a lot, you can put that in here and then you can answer those questions so that they'll show up in your Google Business Profile. You know, it shifts around a little bit, but it'll show up somewhere down here. Um, and then this is really where the social media element comes in. You can add an update. So this is something, just like a typical like share a photo with a description, and you can put a button here. So something to keep note of when I've worked with clients in the past, they would fill this description out and put a phone number and say, call now. But Google would actually reject that because they don't want you to just have a phone number in there. They want to enable it, they want you to use the call now button and then put the phone number in there because they want to be able to understand the user interactions. If you just had the phone number in there, then they wouldn't understand whether or not that's leading to more calls for you or not. So it's a little bit of it doesn't say anything in here about not putting a phone number in there, but so that's a little bit of a tip. All right. So in addition to updates, you can also post offers. So if you have any upcoming seasonal promotions that you want to have on your Google Business Profile, you can put that here and start end date. Any more information, any coupon codes that you might need to use, and this will show up alongside of your information. And then events as well. So if you have any upcoming events or even any events that you're associated with or helping lead. So this is a good tip for you guys at the LGBT Chamber. You can add this to your Google Business Profile as well for your upcoming events. And that is actually how you get into the events section of like if you search, local events or LGBTQ events in Milwaukee. If you had an event listed there, it will show up for you there. And then here's that link again, a quick way to ask for a review. And so just down below here, this is kind of some prompts, just kind of highlighting all the different things you can do to enhance your listing. Here's, like I mentioned before, adding a map to your website and asking for more reviews. And then it's, basically highlighting any different performance situations. So, I think we can probably disable November and you can see a much, kind of clearer view of what's happening. And then here's some metrics as well about how people found you. So also just to, reiterate, typical Google desktop search on your mobile phone, people going to Google Maps specifically and searching on there. So those are all broken down and you can see my top where people found me the most is a Google search on desktop. All right, so that's a deep dive into the Google Business Profile as it lives currently on the internet. If it might change tomorrow, so I wanted to make sure that we saw what it looks like. All right, so I'm getting back into the presentation and wow, it's already half an hour, crazy. So just the summary of what I've reviewed, and then we'll take some questions. Google Business Profile is free. It helps you get into what they call knowledge panel, knowledge graph of how Google understands the world outside of the internet. And it's definitely a very powerful tool. And we encourage everyone to, follow some steps in here. We also have a blog post about kind of detailing those steps more granularly. We also recommend service area businesses utilize this. I see a lot of instances where service area businesses have it set up, but they don't actually omit their address or put their service area zip codes or counties listed. So it doesn't really, I see a lot of people's homes showing up on Google Business Profile, which is not what you necessarily want. And then again, don't do not set it and forget it. You want to make sure you're checking in on it, doing as much as you can to, basically let Google know that you're an active business. Because honestly, after the pandemic, there's a lot of websites, there's a lot of Google business profiles that are representing a business that no longer exists, unfortunately. So this is what Google is asking, just upping the bar a little bit to get to understand, is this a real business? Is this business in operation? And is this a trusted business that we can send users to have a good experience? And again, we have a blog on our website that details that. And a big takeaway is that this is a very powerful tool. 64% of consumers have used Google Business Profile to find contact details for a local business. And I will open it up to questions.
I believe we have one question. As a home-based B2B branding business, does Google really need a photo of my home office?
That is a good question. So I don't know if that is related to the verification process, because Google is now again upped its game. It used to be like you get a postcard or you get a phone call, and that was all you needed to verify. Now Google is actually requiring you to show a video of you approaching your business from the corner of your address. So basically you show your street sign, the intersection, and then you walk up to your business, assuming you have signage, and unlock the door, and that's pretty much all they need. But if you have a home office, it actually goes a little bit step further. I think you have to walk into your home and actually log in to your account. So if you have like an email account, or if you have a website, you have to show yourself logging into that. So if that's what you're asking, that is a part of the verification process for businesses that are home based, that do not have signage. And then secondly, for just photos in general, Google does not need a picture of your home office on your listing at all. And it kind of going back to what I talked about for B2B or for home businesses. This is again where you'd want to suppress your home address after the verification process. And so it won't show, kind of that Google car, whatever picture of your street, outside your street. You do want to add pictures that show you could show case studies, you could show for branding specifically, you could show, brands that you've built or worked on. You can definitely show pictures of yourself. You can show pictures of yourself at like networking events, just kind of, anything that can kind of illustrate who you are and what you do would be valuable. And I see another question about online most of the year.
Would you like me to read it out loud? I know you can see it.
Host a half marathon, so we are online most of the year, and then for one weekend in the year. How do you best set this up? That is a good question. So if assuming the marathon, I mean, that's at a specific location, a lot of the times, like for festivals and stuff, I Google that and it gets, it says it's at like Summerfest, for example, and it doesn't say it's open all year round, I believe. So I would just verify it if you can. That's the question, because if it is really a business, or if Google thinks it's a business, I guess you'd have to investigate that. But I would just have that business profile year long and just, say what days you're open. And that would only be those days you're running or you're operating the marathon, I would imagine. So that's an interesting question. But I would just look at like, any other run walk situations, any other similar structured situations, and see what other people have. But I think you could create a Google business profile for that. Yeah, it says we want people to visit our site, meaning your website year round. Yep. Yeah, because that'll give you that visibility when people search or hear about your marathon coming up, then that would show up, and then it would link to your website. So that might be just a service area business. You might not even want a location associated with that. I don't know if you have the same location year round, but you could definitely have a location associated with that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you might want to say, so the follow-up was our start address is on the UW Madison campus. So it's an existing business. You would be able to, you could even say you are a business that's inside, not inside Madison, UW Madison, but whatever building or start address is kind of nearby, you could associate with that most likely. All right, any other questions? Yep, you're welcome. We can definitely connect afterwards as well if you have any troubleshooting you want to discuss. So yeah, I'll just wrap up here and just say we have a special offer specifically for LGBT chamber members. And if you click on this link or type in my website address /LGBT chamber, then you can fill in your information and we'll send you a free SEO audit. And then I'll follow up to get it set up to kind of do a full website SEO scorecard where we look at the website from lots of different angles. This is a proprietary product that I offer from to kind of understand what, benchmark your site at where you're at. And feel free to share this information with anybody who wasn't able to attend today. Any non-LGBT businesses, of course, just happy to spread the word and provide more information as much as I can to help the community and our allies as well. All right.
Thank you so much, JC. So this is my first time hosting this webinar. Did not realize that that was something you guys offered for chamber members. So I love it when we can offer resources to our members. That's awesome. Um, thank you for all your really good questions and participation. Thank you for being here. And have a wonderful rest of your day. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me or JC, and I'm sure both of us would be happy to connect with you.
And I'll be reaching out to anybody who signed up as well to discuss if there's anything I can help them with. So thanks everybody for coming. Have a good rest of your day.
Have a
Happy
great day.
Thanksgiving.
Bye.